The HOA Karen who learned not to steal. You know that feeling when you know someone's been stealing from you, but you can't prove it. Yeah, well, I had that feeling for 3 solid months. My packages kept disappearing from my doorstep like clockwork. Security cameras mysteriously angled away, HOA complaints ignored, police reports not enough evidence. But here's the thing about Karens in positions of power, they get sloppy, and this particular Karen, who happened to be the HOA president of our neighborhood, made one critical mistake. She assumed I was just going to roll over and take it. I'm Sarah, by the way, and this is the story of how I turned my HOA president's package, stealing hobby into the most spectacular green paint explosion our quiet suburban street has ever seen. Trust me, the ending is worth the wait. Let me set the scene. I just moved into this picture perfect HOA community 6 months earlier. You know the type. Manicured lawns, identical mailboxes, and rules about literally everything. Can't have your trash cans visible after 7 p.m. Your door wreath can't exceed 18 inches in diameter. I'm not even joking about that last one, but I was willing to deal with it because the neighborhood was safe, close to work, and honestly, I've been dreaming about having my own place for years. Fresh out of a bad relationship, new job, new start. The works. Enter Deborah. Deborah Morrison, HOA president for the past 8 years. Mid-50s blonde highlights that were somehow both too much and not enough, and this smile that never quite reached her eyes. You know the one I'm talking about. I met her during my first week. She showed up at my door with a clipboard. Of course she had a clipboard, and a list of friendly reminders about community standards. My welcome mat was apparently 2 inches too wide. My car was parked 3 inches over the designated parking space line, and my garden gnome violated Section 7. 3 of the community guidelines regarding ornamental lawn fixtures. I should have seen the red flags then. But I was trying to be a good neighbor, you know. I moved the mat, adjusted my parking, and put Mr. Nomi in the backyard. The package problem started about a month later. First, it was a small thing. A book I'd ordered for work just didn't show up. The tracking said delivered, but it wasn't there. I figured maybe the delivery driver made a mistake. These things happen, right? Then it was a birthday present for my sister. Then some kitchen supplies, then a new laptop charger that I desperately needed for work. Each time the tracking information showed delivered to front door, with a timestamp and everything, but nothing was ever there when I got home. I started watching the tracking like a hawk, trying to be home right when packages arrived. But I work unpredictable hours as a graphic designer, and sometimes I'm in back-to-back meetings. I couldn't just camp out by my front door all day. After the 6th missing package in as many weeks, I invested in a Ring doorbell. Best $200 I ever spent, or so I thought. I installed it myself, tested it, made sure the angle covered my entire porch. Perfect. The very next day I had a package coming, expensive art supplies I needed for a client project. I watched the tracking, saw the delivery confirmation at 2:47 p.m. I checked my Ring footage, and here's where it gets interesting. The delivery driver clearly places the package on my porch at 2:47. The footage is crystal clear. But then at 3:15 p.m., the camera angle suddenly shifts, like someone physically moved it. And for the next 43 minutes, all I can see is a perfect view of my porch ceiling and part of my hanging plant. When the angle mysteriously corrects itself at 3:58 p.m., the package is gone. I was furious. But also, now I was curious, because whoever did this knew exactly where my camera was and how to avoid it. This wasn't some random porch pirate. This was someone who had access to my porch, time to mess with my camera, and knowledge of when packages were being delivered. I filed a police report. Officer Martinez was sympathetic but realistic. Without footage of the actual theft, there's not much we can do. These porch pirate cases are tough to prosecute even when we know who did it. I tried confronting my neighbors about it in the community Facebook group. Big mistake. Deborah jumped into the comments immediately. Sarah, I understand you're frustrated about your missing packages, but making accusations without proof is a violation of our community harmony guidelines. Perhaps you should consider using a P.O. box if you can't secure your deliveries properly. The way she worded it made me sound like the problem, and several other neighbors chimed in agreeing with her. I felt like I was going crazy, but then I got a message, private, from someone named Sandra Chen who lived 3 streets over. Hey, I saw your post. Deborah did the same thing to me last year. I caught her on camera once, but she claimed she was collecting a package that had been delivered to my house by mistake to keep it safe. When I asked for it back, she said she'd already returned it to the carrier, but there was no record of that. I moved out 6 months ago. Just watch your back. That message changed everything. This wasn't random. This was a pattern, and Deborah wasn't just some nosy HOA president. She was a thief who'd figured out how to operate with complete impunity in her own neighborhood. I needed proof, real, undeniable proof. I set up a second camera. This one was hidden in a fake rock I bought off Amazon. Yes, those things are real, and they're amazing. I positioned it in my garden bed with a perfect view of my porch, completely hidden by some strategic placement of my hostas. Then I ordered something, a box of fancy tea from this boutique website. Nothing valuable, but the packaging was nice and distinctive, shipped with tracking. Scheduled to arrive on a Tuesday afternoon when I knew I'd be in meetings. Tuesday came, the package arrived at 1:23 p.m. I watched from my phone, my heart pounding. At 1:45 p.m., right on schedule, my Ring camera angle shifted upward. But my hidden camera kept recording, and there she was. Deborah Morrison, HOA president, wearing her signature white caprice and a blue polo shirt, walking right up to my porch like she owned it. She glanced around. The coast was clear. Then she adjusted my Ring camera with this practice motion that told me she'd done this many times before. She picked up my package, read the label, seemed to consider it for a moment. Then she tucked it under her arm and walked away, just like that, casual as anything, like she was picking up her own mail. I had her. Now, here's where I had a decision to make. I could go to the police with this footage. Maybe they'd actually do something this time, maybe they wouldn't. I could confront Deborah directly, but Sandra's experience told me that probably wouldn't go anywhere. Or I could make sure Deborah never stole another package again. Not from me, not from anyone. I'm not usually a revenge person. Really, I'm not. But something about the casual entitlement of it all, the way she'd made me feel crazy for pointing out that packages were being stolen, the way she'd gaslit an entire neighborhood into thinking she was this pillar of the community. It got under my skin. I started researching, and that's when I discovered the world of glitter bomb packages. You've probably seen those videos. People rig up packages with glitter, confetti, sometimes even fart spray to catch porch pirates. They're brilliant, but I wanted something more memorable, something that would make a statement. That's when I found the green paint idea. See, there's this special kind of paint used for color runs and festivals. It's non-toxic, washes off eventually, but it's bright, like See It, from Space Bright, and it's designed to explode outward in a spectacular cloud when the container is breached. I ordered 5 pounds of it. Fluorescent green, the kind of green that glows under black light, the kind of green that looks like toxic waste from a cartoon. Then I got to work on the package itself. I found a sturdy Amazon box, the medium-sized ones that could hold anything from books to electronics. I lined the inside with a plastic bag to contain the paint, then rigged up a simple mechanism using a mousetrap, some fishing line, and a plastic cup filled with the green paint powder. The genius of this design. When someone opened the box and lifted the false bottom where a package would normally be, the fishing line would trigger the mousetrap, which would catapult the cup upward and outward, sending green paint everywhere in a 6-foot radius. I tested it in my garage first. Holy Mother of God, the coverage was insane. The entire contents of that cup created a green cloud that settled on everything. My garage looked like the Incredible Hulk had sneezed in there. Perfect! I carefully cleaned up, rebuilt the mechanism, and created a fake shipping label. I made it look like a package from an art supply company, something that might actually interest Deborah enough to steal. I even added weight to make it feel substantial. Then I did something that might seem counterintuitive. I reported the incoming valuable package in the HOA Facebook group. I posted about how excited I was about this expensive delivery coming on Friday and asked if anyone would be around to keep an eye out since I'd be at work all day. I was baiting the trap. Friday morning, I placed the rigged package on my porch at 10 a.m., right before I left for work. I'd positioned it perfectly in view of both my Ring camera and my hidden camera. I even added a fake delivered notification by editing a screenshot and posting it to myself. Then I waited. I was at my desk, supposedly working on a logo design for a client, but really I was watching my phone like a hawk. My hidden camera sent notifications to a separate app whenever it detected motion. 11:30 a.m. Nothing. 12:15 p.m. A delivery truck passed by, not for me. 1:00 p.m. I was starting to think maybe she wouldn't take this one. Then at 1:33 p.m. my phone buzzed. Motion detected. I switched to the camera feed, my hands actually shaking. There was Deborah, right on schedule, walking up my driveway with that same entitled stride. She was wearing a white cardigan today, white. The irony was not lost on me. She went through her usual routine, checked her surroundings, adjusted my Ring camera upward, caught beautifully on my hidden cam, and picked up the package. She seemed pleased with the weight of it, even smiled a little. Then she did something I didn't expect. Instead of taking it back to her house right away, she stood there on my porch and shook the box slightly, like she was trying to guess what was inside. Don't open it there, I thought. Take it home, take it home. As if she heard me, she tucked it under her arm and started walking back down my driveway. I watched her cross the street. She lived directly across from me, house number 247, and go up her own driveway. My heart was pounding so hard I thought my coworkers in the next cubicle could hear it. She went inside, the door closed, and then I waited. This was the hardest part. I knew the moment she opened that box, my cameras wouldn't catch it. But I also knew that the evidence would be undeniable. 15 minutes passed, 20. I was starting to wonder if maybe she'd gotten suspicious, if maybe she wasn't going to open it at all. Then at 2:08 p.m. Deborah's front door flew open. I switched back to my front-facing camera, the one that could see across the street, and there she was, stumbling out of her house looking like she'd been slimed by Nickelodeon, green paint everywhere. In her hair, on her face, all over that white cardigan, on her pants, dripping down her arms. She was making these sounds, gasping and sputtering, and frantically wiping at her face with her hands, which only spread the paint around more. Her husband Mark came running out behind her, also covered in green paint, but less so. Apparently, he'd been nearby when she opened the package. I watched, barely breathing, as she stood in her driveway, covered head to toe in fluorescent green, looking absolutely furious and confused. She was looking around wildly, probably trying to figure out where the package had come from, then. And this is the beautiful part. 3 of my neighbors came outside to see what the commotion was about. Mrs. Peterson from 2 houses down, the college kids who lived next to Deborah, and Sandra Chen, who I'd messaged and who I'd tipped off that today might be interesting. They all stopped and stared. And then Sandra, bless her heart, said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Deborah, why are you covered in paint? And why do you have Sarah's package box in your living room? I can see it through your open door." The next hour was absolute chaos, and I have all of it on camera. Deborah tried to claim she'd found the package on my porch and was keeping it safe for me, but Sandra wasn't having it. She pointed out that if Deborah was just keeping it safe, why had she opened it? And why was she doing that inside her own house instead of bringing it to me or leaving a note? Mark, meanwhile, was frantically trying to clean paint off their white leather couch, visible through their front window, which was apparently now green. The paint was everywhere inside their house, on their walls, their carpet, their furniture. Remember how I said it had a 6-foot radius? Yeah, their living room was ground zero. Mrs. Peterson called me. I was still at work, but I answered immediately. "Sarah, you need to come home. Deborah's been stealing your packages. She's covered in paint from one of them, and she's trying to lie about it, but we all know what happened." I took an early lunch and drove home in record time. When I pulled into my driveway, there was a crowd of neighbors gathered in the street. Deborah was still outside, now wearing a bathrobe over her paint-covered clothes, and she looked like she wanted to murder someone. The moment she saw me, she started yelling, You did this on purpose. You booby, trapped that package. That's illegal. I'm calling the police. Please do," I said, pulling out my phone. "Because I have 3 months of footage of you stealing my packages, adjusting my camera to avoid detection, and walking into your house with my deliveries, including today's footage of you taking this particular package off my porch." Her face went from red to white, well, whitish. "Hard to tell under all that green paint. I was keeping them safe," she sputtered. "You're never home and packages get stolen in this neighborhood. By you." Sandra chimed in, "You stole from me too. Remember, the package you returned to the carrier that I never got back." That's when Officer Martinez pulled up. Someone had actually called the police, probably Deborah herself. He got out of his car, took one look at Deborah covered in green paint, and I saw him fight back a smile. "Someone want to tell me what's going on here." Everyone started talking at once, but I had the evidence. I showed him the footage from my hidden camera, all of it. Deborah taking my packages over the course of several weeks. Her adjusting my Ring camera every single time, and today's spectacular finale. Officer Martinez watched it all, his expression getting more serious. Mrs. Morrison, this is pretty clear video evidence of theft. Multiple counts of mail theft, actually, which is a federal offense. Deborah's husband Mark looked like he wanted to disappear. Deborah, what the hell, why would you do this? She didn't have an answer, or rather, she had a lot of sputtering non-answers about neighborhood security and suspicious packages, but nothing that made any sense. In the end, Deborah was charged with multiple counts of package theft. The value of all my stolen packages over 3 months added up to over $2,000, which made it a felony in our state. Her lawyer tried to argue about the booby trap angle, but the prosecutor pointed out that I'd rigged a package on my own property that was clearly labeled with my own name. Deborah had no legal reason to take it, open it, or even touch it. The HOA board held an emergency meeting. Deborah was removed as president. Turns out, when they investigated further, several other residents came forward with similar stories of missing packages and Deborah's suspicious behavior. She'd been doing this for years. And here's the really satisfying part, the green paint. It took her 3 weeks to fully get it out of her hair. She had to cut about 6 inches off. Her living room had to be completely renovated. New carpet, new paint, new couch. Insurance wouldn't cover it because it happened during the commission of a crime. Every time I saw her after that, she'd rush inside. She ended up selling her house 4 months later and moving out of the neighborhood. Couldn't handle the shame, I guess. So what's the lesson here? A few things actually. First, document everything. I can't stress this enough. If something is happening repeatedly, get cameras, keep records, save evidence. You never know when you'll need it. Second, trust your gut. I knew something was wrong. I knew I wasn't crazy. And even when people made me feel like I was overreacting, I kept pushing for the truth. Third, and this is important, sometimes the people who are supposed to uphold rules and standards are the ones breaking them most flagrantly. Deborah used her position as HOA president to cover her tracks and intimidate people who questioned her. Don't let titles or positions prevent you from seeking the truth. And finally, never underestimate the power of non-toxic, environmentally safe, spectacularly bright green paint. My neighborhood is actually great now. We have a new HOA president, Mrs. Peterson took over, and she's wonderful. Package theft is down to 0 because word got around about what happened to the last person who tried it. And me, I still use that hidden camera just in case. As for Deborah, last I heard, she's living in a different state, probably terrorizing a whole new neighborhood. But at least she's not stealing packages anymore. I like to think she learned her lesson, but honestly, some people never do. The funny thing is, people in my neighborhood still talk about the green paint incident. It's become legendary. And every time someone tells the story, they add a little something extra. Like the paint glowed in the dark, it didn't. Though that would have been cool, or that Deborah's entire house had to be condemned, it didn't, just renovated. But the truth is spectacular enough on its own. Sometimes justice doesn't come from the courts or the police or the system. Sometimes justice comes in the form of 5 pounds of fluorescent green paint in a well-placed mousetrap. And sometimes, the best revenge is just making sure everyone knows exactly who's been stealing from them all along.